Hello and welcome to a new episode of Mind XR Gap, where we have a healthy discussion about VR, AR, MR and everything in between. My name is Tiago Andrade and I'm here with Ana Sol Penha Rios and Oskan Baceci, and they will join me on today's conversation. Let's continue this three-part special episode about movies and TV shows that have some sort of XR technology in them. This episode will be the second one, and if you're joining us for the first time, make sure that you go back to the previous one and listen to it. And again, don't forget, spoiler alert, you have been warned. Without further ado, here's the second episode, and I hope you enjoy it.
Another movie, going back to the idea of an alternative or alternate, that's the word, alternate reality. In which you have your brain connected to some sort of matrix or mechanism that keeps you awake, even though maybe your body is not awake. It's an old one, and I think I've mentioned to you both guys, it's Vanilla Sky, which originally was a Spanish movie, Open Your Eyes, from 1997, so it's an old one. But yeah, it's a very interesting one because the idea is that this person wants to like to keep existing, so keeps his body saved, but whilst you are waiting for having your body fixed for whatever reason, you are kind of in this alternate reality, which is some it's generated for you, and the idea is that you will have a pleasant dream whilst you are waiting, and everything will be perfect, and so on and so forth. But this guy notices that actually he is in this dream. At the beginning he doesn't understand why, and he's trying to fix and like going against the program. So it starts generating anxiety for him, which wakes him up from all this slumber. And then he realizes that that reality wasn't the real reality.
This raises a couple of questions. Also, the end of the movie, I think it's ambiguous, because if I remember the movie correctly, he wakes up a couple of times, but still in this fake world, right? And he understands this fake world, and in the end, we don't have a clear answer. Did he actually wake up, or is still on the fake world? That's the message that I got.
I think in the end that is kind of a personal choice, because I remember asking people, and each of them, they gave me a different answer because of what they were expecting the character to be. It's
a very good movie because it actually allows you to talk about it. It actually allows you to have multiple interpretations of the insanity it's happening.
Or it sounds like they didn't want to make an ending, like give a definite ending to people, and not giving an indefinite ending. Just always adds an extra to the movie,
But what I would like to ask about this movie actually is how much these kind of things, if we are able to completely put the person into a VR, even if it's like with Vanilla Sky, so your body is being fixed somehow, and they put you on that stasis alternative world while you wait, how this can mess up your head. How can this actually makes you go to insanity?
I mean, to be fair, I would quite enjoy
to be like
put somewhere that is perfectly programmed for me for the week. It's like a resort holiday, and then just come back to reality after a week.
Yeah, that's what they sell, because this guy goes into this because they sell that idea, but then it went bad. Because inside of this lucid dream, he was not having a pleasant experience, and it was because of some of his memories, and he was mixing things around, and in the end it wasn't good. It was kind of a nightmare rather than a good dream.
I guess what you can do afterwards is not tip, leave a bad review, and just move on.
But what I'm trying to reach is, if you go to the insanity levels, maybe you are not repairable anymore. Your brain is beyond repair. So if you wake up, you probably are just a vegetable in the end.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I want to reach, is how bad
Which,
can this makes your brain start malfunctioning altogether.
yeah, which I know that we are moving apart from VR XR, but this reminds me of a movie that I really, really loved, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's one of my favorites because it's so interesting, and it touches this idea of someone, it's like you are messing up with your brain, and in the end you can not become insane, but it's not what you were expecting. So for those who haven't watched this one, the idea is that there's this couple, they meet, they have the honeymoon stage, and then in the end they decide that they are not for each other, so they part away. But for the guy, and both for the girl as well, it was very painful to part away, so they decide to try a medical experience in which a scientific or GP or someone, they try to erase all memories of this person from your brain, and it succeeds. So the idea is that you won't be in more pain because you won't even remember this person. But then this changes what you are becoming, because you are becoming who you are because of all of these experiences, right? So when the person, the guy who is going through the process, discovers that his girlfriend at that time did it, he said, okay, I'm gonna do it as well. And whilst he is getting his brain erased for those memories, in that very moment, he decides, no, wait, I want to keep my memories, even if they are painful, because I love her. So I still want to have this memory of her and this, even the painful ones. But then he's trying to reverse a physical process supposedly going in his brain, because they are like burning things. I don't know. And in the end, I don't know if I should give the end here.
You can. It's spoiler. It's
spoiler
heavy
alert.
Spoiler, yeah. As a spoiler alert.
So in the end, they got both. They got their brains erased, but one of the people helping there in the clinic decides that, because she did the same for another person, decides that is not correct, is not ethically correct. So she sends back personal items that were removed from their houses to these people, so they start kind of remembering things. They can't, because they have this blank, but it's very familiar. And in the end, this couple, they meet each other again, because apparently they were supposed to be together, even though it wasn't at that time. Or that was my interpretation. That time perhaps wasn't the best one, but in the end, they meet again. They don't know each other, but they will discover again each of them, each of their personalities and so on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I need to see that one. I never saw that one.
I'll definitely watch after this.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Yeah.
We'll leave our films list that we are talking on the description if any listener also wants to have it to go. You did a very good segue, but I'm gonna try to keep it for later on. And still in the same topic on how can VR mess up your head is another. It's similar in the sky, or it's more related to the topic that I was saying, that it can mess up your brain, which is again another Black Mirror, because season 3 episode 2 playtest, and is this they are trying to come up with a new VR technology that you just it's a little chip that you put behind your neck, and it actually collects all the information, your brain, all the information that your brain is trying to have with your body goes to that chip, and you'll see yourself actually in virtual reality. It's a very weird episode, by the way. It's kind of an arcade experience, so it goes there for play test to test with the game, but things go very, very wrong. And what they argue is, and I don't know, oh, that's what I want to argue with you. It's the time in VR with that kind of chip, or the perception of time, is completely different from what's the real time. All right. And things go bad in VR because he forgot his mobile phone and it kind of interfered with chip, and it puts him on a loop of a very horror game, basically. And he goes insane and basically goes vegetable. And the question here is VR able to, at some point, to disrupt time, or will start perceiving time in a different way?
Can I quickly clear out something? This
Yeah.
is the episode where the guy is like living in Australia or something and looking for jobs to work at, and then goes into the
Yes.
interview because someone else
Interview.
hires him to record something in the interview, but keeps his phone on.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Because his mother was going to call to see how the interview went, and she calls in the middle of the session, and it was
Yeah, my mom would
stated
do that as well.
Yeah, it was stated that they couldn't have any kind of electronics with them because it could interfere with the chip, and that's what's happened. So he basically dies in VR.
Yeah, I remember that episode was.
It doesn't die, but it goes into a catastrophic case on his brain that he will not be able to return as a normal person.
I think regarding to your question about how if VR can perceive time different than like the real world, I think it's not the VR, it's the person receiving, thinking how, feeling how the time passes.
Yes.
Differently. So I guess, yeah, I don't have an answer for that question. I'm sorry.
I argue that I think it's difficult to become a reality because we are dealing here is if our brain was a CPU, right? And you're just unlocking the CPU. Our brain, I don't think our brain works that way. It doesn't magically jump from a Pentium to a i7 Intel, right? Of course, time is just a perception of our brain and how we live things, but putting a person in VR will not deconstruct that radically, I think. You'll still need to process time, and your brain has a certain way to perceive things, even if you are directly inputting information into it. It will still take that time. I believe.
But I think I think when the time passes different than you expected, it just doesn't happen in VR. It becomes anything that you're immersed in. It could be a movie, a music video, a concert. You'll be like, oh wow, it's already over. It felt like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what happens in a very nicely designed VR system to the person. Yeah.
Agree. But what I'm telling is not 1 hour passed and you think it was 5 minutes.
You mean days?
Yeah, or something like that.
Well, I don't know that. I don't
or
think
something like that. What they argue is you have a kind of a full life experience in 5 minutes because of VR. VR unlocked it for you to live a full life, and in reality just past 5 minutes. And I don't think that works that way.
I don't think we'll ever get to that point, to be honest.
Yeah, is it worth
That's
it?
sci-fi. It's sci-fi.
Yeah. It's sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sci-fi, but imagine that you have that technology available. Would you do it? Is it worth it to live a whole life in 5 minutes?
No,
I would quickly see what happens when you make, like, you could simulate what happens after you make a decision. But technically, if you're living a whole life in VR and then getting out of VR to live your actual life, how would you feel your brain? Like you just literally died in another lifetime, but which was 5 minutes in reality, and you came back to reality, and you're like, Oh, I had to do it all over again. Like all the feelings, everything you experience, everything. Maybe you had a kid that you really loved in this simulation, and now
it's
none
gone.
of it was true.
Yeah.
No.
That is also similar to the you were saying, Tiago, the not today, but in our previous discussion, altered carbon, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. The first season was good.
You can torture people in VR forever. In VR, it's forever. In reality, of course, it's not. But that person will have those memories for the longest time ever they want, basically. So they use VR in that context to train in that series and to torture. And they mention, I don't think we see, well, we see torture, but it's a very short period of time. But they mentioned they can actually torture people forever in VR if needed, because the person in 5 minutes will be devastated, basically.
Wow.
For that purpose, well, it's a terrible purpose for us to use this kind of technology. Would you agree?
It's horrible. Yeah, it's like you mentioned also in our preparation chat the other episode of Black Mirror, the surveillance one.
Yes, that's the segue that you mentioned as well. Let's go that one. Yeah, happy.
Yeah, the parental surveillance that you put a chip in the brain of a kid and you block all the bad things in the world, and then when this kid grows up and realizes, well, this is not the real world, she's shocked because she hasn't built up on bad experiences, so she doesn't have anything to, like, any resource to go there, and it's bad for her.
So basically in this episode, it's a little girl and the mother decides to implement a chip. Works basically in AR, right? So it augments reality. However, instead of augmenting, what the parents do is parent control and occludes information. So wherever the kids see violence, blood, swear words, it also messed with visuals and sound. So bad words also were kind of censored. So the kid wasn't being exposed to that.
Also the pain, I think, right? The kid.
Also, I think so. Pain also was.
Yeah, that's just dangerous because there's a reason why you can observe danger, you can see danger or wrong or right, or you feel pain for a reason, so you can be like, oh, let me check if something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
So it's just beyond wrong, regardless AI or anything.
I'm gonna say probably a very unpopular opinion here, but people try to avoid pain. It's a natural thing, right? You don't like
you don't
pain.
want pain.
Yeah, you don't want pain, and parents don't want pain for their kids. It's a normal way to think, but avoiding that experience to the kids I think it's also harmful, or it's even more harmful than actually them experience that. As human beings are beings made for experiencing things and looking to do some actions and receive reactions and learn from them, right? And pain, even if we don't like it, it's a very good feedback for our brain to learn.
Yeah. I thought you said you were going to say something controversial. I feel like this is what everyone thinks.
Yeah, it's controversial. That's the thing. I think it's controversial because some parents don't understand that. Some parents want to shield their children in a way that they will not feel violence or they will not see that, and they think they are doing the good thing. I think it's the controversial part, and it's something that we actually need to avoid. Something that it's very difficult, but parents need for the kids to experience, and then what they can do is kind of help them through that process when they see the reaction and they are having those feelings of this was bad. The parents should be there to kind of steer them in the right direction, not avoiding or cancellation of those feelings.
I mean, I'm not a parent, but I kind of
no, you're not. That's why I was saying this is a very unpopular opinion.
Yeah, it's not unpopular. Yeah. Going back to the technology, I will just say, perhaps this is not augmented reality, maybe this is diminished reality. And we talk about this in episode 1 of our podcast. So if anyone would like to go back and discover what it is, we have that one there.
We mentioned that in very detail, actually, yeah. I don't see myself using that as well.
No.
I like to experience life. We should be able to experience life, good or bad, and we should try to understand them.
We should learn when to use the technology.
Exactly.
Yeah. We invented fire, but we didn't start burning everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second episode ends here, and I hope to see you on the third part of the episodes next month. See you there. Bye bye.